Bonjour, friends. Welcome back to Generate Her. I am so thrilled to share with you the next guest that you're going to meet, and you may have already discovered Lili Barbery on Instagram. But I had the pleasure of meeting Lili about a year ago and have really had a chance to discover who she is from the little vignettes I get of her on social media. And you'll be the first to know I am very, very cautious about people that I watch on social media. I don't believe in showing off. I believe in sharing. I believe in us propagating positive messages for one another and lifting each other up and making each other feel hope and care and thought for others and ourselves. And Lili is the epitome of that. And you're going to love this discussion. You're going to love hearing all of the wonderful things we talk about, from how Lili made this wonderful change in her career to be who she is today, to the power of leaving space for magic. So I think you're going to love to tune in, and I'd love to know what you think. Without further ado, let's get into it. I am so thrilled today to have somebody I met over a year ago. It was a kind of New Year refresh, and I love these sort of things. And I ended up sitting next to this wonderful person called Lili Barbery. And if you have not met her on Instagram, you're missing out. And you'll know if you've listened to my podcast, I'm very, very cautious about Instagram because we get bombarded with all of these images of people that we call influencers, but they're not influencing us necessarily in the positive way. And there's exceptions to that rule, and that is Lili. And I'm so thrilled to have Lili here with us today. You are hosting a television show, a podcast, a newsletter. You're always doing these wellness things. You're doing retreats, and you're always sharing just these beautiful positive messages for people to reflect on. Who is this person, Lili, that's sitting in front of us, and where did she come from?
Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. I'm a former journalist. I used to work for French Vogue and then for M, the magazine of Le Monde. I worked in that field for 15 years. And before that, I was a PR for the concept store Colette, used to bring fashion and interior design and beauty. And I was working in their PR office for a few years, and I got hired by French Vogue right after it. And I wrote about beauty and wellness for many, many years. And I got to try and test so many different places around the world, hotels with resorts and spas, way before we started speaking about longevity. And so I got to try yoga many, many times, but I wasn't really into it. And to be honest, I did not understand. I wish I had been that girl that had her yoga mat in the street, but I tried very hard and I didn't like it. And I had many friends who were doing yoga, and I did not understand what was so thrilling about it until something really harsh happened in my life. In 2015, we got the attacks in Paris, two different types of attacks. The first one was directed against journalists in January, against the people who used to work at Charlie Hebdo.
Right. I remember that.
The father of one of my friends got killed in that attack. And to some extent, I got really moved by this death. And mostly because I lost my father when I was 13. And so I could relate to what she was going through. But also because there was a sense for me of not understanding the meaning of my own life anymore. I don't know why it shook me that way. And it was overwhelming with emotions, but it was very hard for me to keep on going to where I was working as if everything was okay, because all the journalists were focusing on that attack, and we kept on talking about the different attacks that could happen again, because we were all very conscious that we were at threat. And threat was not just some anxiety fantasy. It was a real world, because we had soldiers in front of our building that were protecting the journalists. So I would cross every morning, in the morning and in the evening, some soldiers with weapons to say hello and to go through and to arrive at the office. And the repetition of having this level of threats in front of me, most of journalists were okay with it, but I wasn't.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in November, when we had the second attack that touched people who were going to see a concert, I was in Japan. Actually, I was traveling for work the night it happened. And so I found out when I was out of the plane. And I was on my own in Japan, going there for a report, a story that I was writing. And I felt devastated. And I started thinking, my life has no meaning. Life has no meaning. So I was really like looking for meaning and looking for sense and not finding who I was anymore.
Right.
And I know it sounds weird because I wasn't touched directly by these attacks, but they opened a sort of gate inside of me, of an alarm system inside of me telling me like, so who are you? What do you want to do in your life? In which direction do you want to keep on going? At first, after this, I did not take any decision. I could not really move on. I was just stuck with my anxiety and my emotions. So I started eating a lot, which I usually do when I don't feel bad. When I feel bad, I mean, as I
Yeah.
was in the comfort zone of trying to find as much cheese and bread and butter to feel better about what I was going through. And so I put on weight, and I was complaining about putting on weight and not feeling good, the vicious circle of
Right.
not feeling good about yourself. And a friend of mine told me, you should really come to my yoga class. And I was like, oh, please, no. The last thing I need is to stay still in a room and to think about my thoughts and my to do list and everything that I have in my head. So I really didn't feel like it. But she insisted, and she's a very good friend of mine, and I really like her. And to be polite, I said yes.
Right.
And I got there, and this session actually changed my life.
That's beautiful. So there's so many things that I want to make sure we pull out of this story because they're so important. And one of them is we all have our crisis points. We all have things that touch us. And I remember very well those episodes you were talking about and living here in Paris when that happened and how shocking it was. And even if you're not touched personally, you still are because we have a human condition, which is called a community. But then how do you break out of that and say, okay, I'm going to use those negative events and I'm going to pivot that into something that propels me forward instead of backwards? How did you do that? Because you've made it sound so beautiful and effortless, but there's a lot of soul work that goes into that.
Something came up during this crisis, and I think it could have been linked to the loss of a job or the
Mm,
loss of a partner or even the death of someone that you really love.
right.
I think crises do not need to be big in the news like an attack or anything like this, but they just open your own wounds and places that have not been healed yet. They rip your cage in two parts, and then you can really dig inside the pain, the raw pain that you still have, that you're still carrying, whether it's linked to your inner child or inner childhood or whatever. But this is what the attacks did to me.
Mm,
And I think that what helped me is first, I think I asked for help to my friends around me because I thought that no one could help me. And I felt really lonely with my pain and not understanding what was going on in my head and mentally. I think it happened many times that I was looking at the sky and I was not a God believer or anything like this. I don't even have a religious practice, but I think I turned to the sky many times and said, I need some help. I need some help here. And I think that in some ways, whether it's my brain that took that direction and that decided that I was going to direct it into the help seeking, or whether it's some energetic vibes that I sent and that I was responded by the universe or whatever you call it, I was helped. And I was helped by many, many people. And I think it's also a sort of openness to receive. So
Absolutely.
you start to be open to receive some help and to see opportunities around you. The first person that really helped me so much was Olivier Roellinger. Olivier Roellinger is a chef. He's very well known in France. He used to be a three stars chef. Now his son is cooking in the places that he built himself, and his son is Hugo Roellinger, and he just got his three stars too.
Right.
I had known of Olivier because when I was a journalist, he created a perfume with Hermès. And so Hermès, the brand, the luxurious brand, had invited me to meet him, but I could not attend that presentation. So we didn't get to meet each other at that time. And he called me in 2016 when I was really completely lost.
Okay.
I had quit my job at Le Monde without knowing what I was going to do. I I had not done my first yoga session, so I was really lost. It was in July, and he called me and he said, "I've heard of you. I know you have a blog because I used to have a blog that was not very big, but big enough for him to hear about me." And he said, "I think that you could be interested in visiting my new place, which is I open a sort of spa treatment, wellness treatment place, and I would be happy if you came and visited it." So I went there, and I think that this was one of the life brings you gifts and you don't know why, and you don't know why you deserve to have these gifts. You don't even understand it, but
Right.
meeting that person was a real luck. And I think because I was starting to ask for help,
Mm.
I was really open to listen to his story, and his story completely changed me.
In what way?
So Olivier, when he was, I think we have 20 years of difference. He's 20 years older than me. And the year I was born, he was 20. He had a party with some friends. He was very drunk, and he was in Saint-Malo in Brittany, and 5 guys found him. It was completely random. They met him in the street when he was going home, and they were in between the age of 13 and 18. They beat him up for no reason,
Oh my.
just pure violence. No reasons like what you hear on the news today, but it's always been there, this violence, this raw violence that you don't know what to do with it. It was on him, and for no reason they left him almost dead. And he spent many months and years in hospital. He was told that he was never going to walk. He was about to start some studies that, of course, he couldn't go to an engineer career anymore because he was stuck with surgery all over his body. He's got some metal in his back to hold it, and even in his legs. He had surgery many, many, many times. And Olivier told me about this without complaining.
Mm.
He told me about that story that is his own personal crisis, a very tough lesson.
Right.
And he turned it into something marvelous because we were in his garden when he was telling me about this. And everything that he built is linked to this recovery, this healing that he had to
My.
go through. And he said to me, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but maybe I was lucky."
Oh, wow.
2 tears came up to my eyes because I had been complaining about my life, about my weight, about me not feeling good for months and not finding any solutions, about not wanting to be a journalist anymore, not knowing what I was going to do. And it was not the right period of time because of the level of chômage. How do you say chômage in English?
Unemployment.
Yes, and because of the economic crisis, I was complaining a lot. And all of a sudden, he told me his story and he said, "I started cooking because I couldn't go and do the school I was meant to go to. And I was so determined to walk again, to see the sea again, to see the sky again, to be able to go on the seaside." And also, he had a strange connection to the moon because he's convinced that maybe God is behind the moon and that God is a woman. And so he was thinking, "I'm going to get some help."
Right. I love that.
He's very giving. he gave me so much time, which is quite rare also with chefs because
Mm,
usually they're so overwhelmed with work and everything. And for 2 days, he showed me everything that he had built. And he was so passionate about the land, about the protection of the earth, about the meaning of his life and of his work that I found a lot of inspiration. And I felt healed just by the connection to his story. And I thought, oh my God, the power of stories are
absolutely.
incredible because you just hear about something that you haven't gone through, but you connect to it and you feel healed all of a sudden yourself. And
Right.
you stop complaining and think, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. I love that so much, Lily, because it's something that I think about often. And I always tell people is when you share your story, you shine your light outwards upon someone else. And you never know how that can positively influence them, how that can positively change their trajectory. So, for us as receivers of that, to have people that drip these little bits of light onto us that can totally change our life going forward is enormous. And then to challenge ourselves to think, how can I be that light for someone else? And that's what I love about you. If we come back to Lily today, being the light for someone else, and this is why I wanted Lily on the show. You've heard me say before, I don't like showing off. I love sharing. And there's a big difference there. And you see it very clearly, especially when we're bombarded with all of these things we have access to, which is great. But on the other hand, we need to consume it responsibly. So we have Lily today present. How do you get your inspiration every day, Lily, to do all the things that you're doing? Which it just amazes me. I'm like, what is Lily not doing?
I don't know. I think curiosity and also excitement.
Mm,
Whenever I feel excited, especially when I connect to the excitement of me as if I was 7 years old or 6 years old and
right. I love that.
wanting to know more about something, if I feel joy, then I get a lot of energy from it. And so I want more joy. And I think that the more you focus on that energy, the more you get it. And I work a lot, it's true, but I don't have the feeling that I'm working that much because I do a lot of things that I love. Of course, some parts that we all need to do when we're company owners, accountability or stuff like this, I really don't like. And I just engaged into a training for Pilates, a teacher training, and I have so much to learn. And I'm better at learning through my body and through the experience rather than sitting in front of a book and becoming a student again. But at the same time, I think my brain loves when it's being fed with new information. And once a subject is totally, it's just I have this impression of a lemon when you squeeze a subject and when there's no juice from it, and I've looked at the subject from every angle, I get bored with it, and then my brain looks for something new to devour and to.
I love that. And you know, I tell you what, I really love that. I just talked about we know it exists. It's a psychological term called imposter syndrome. And of course, we talk about it all the time. I think it's the most overused term I've ever heard because it's a blessing to be in a situation where you can learn. And like you said, to approach things with childlike curiosity, that's a gift. That's not imposter syndrome. That is, okay, I'm in a room, I have less information than anyone around me, and I'm going to consume it. And like you said, squeeze that lemon until there's not one drop left.
And also, it's like a game
Yes.
because I don't like when I don't understand something. It's like being in front of a game of chess and you want to understand how people play it. And so I'm not interested in everything, of course, but whenever I feel excited and interested in a subject, people call me radical. I'm really obsessed with something, and it can last sometimes for a few years.
Right.
And then it just stops, but it doesn't mean that I'm not interested anymore. For instance, when I was a journalist, I was really interested in the perfume.
Okay.
And so I went and did a training to learn how to recognize the raw ingredients, whether they were natural or synthetic ingredients. And I got really good at it. And people were saying to me, like, why are you doing this? Because you don't need to. You could write about perfume without knowing all these informations that will not serve your readers because they don't understand what these ingredients are. You're not going to be able to name them. It's not going to add anything to your story. And I thought the opposite, because
Right.
of course, you're not going to be able to share the same vocabulary, but at least when you know, you can find some images that people will understand. And it was a real game for me to smell every morning, to blind test myself with some materials. And then I got sick of doing it, not because of the game itself, but more because of the people in the perfume industry
Hmm.
that got really I don't know, some people were really pretentious. It's like in the wine business, when people don't share the same vocabulary, they kind of take advantage of the situation to sound really superior. And there were no reasons for that, because perfumers have great talents, but people who talk about perfume, they have a vocabulary that maybe most of people do not share, but if they learned, everyone would understand. So there's no
Exactly.
reason why you should feel superior because you know how to recognize that wine or that perfume. It's not a gift, it's just work.
Exactly. Exactly. I find that so precious because I don't know how or why, but somehow as society or these communities, we like to create these strata of hierarchy. And we always find a way to say us versus them. And information is for everyone. And these are things, like you said, these are things that can be learned. It's not some special gift. Well, some people, okay, there are some people who excel because of genetics at certain things, but these things can be learned and shared. I also want to make a point for those of you that don't realize journalism, which I happen to know because I know a few people in that profession, and the arts, such as, let's say, perfume and wine. These are really tough industries. They look nice, they look glamorous, they're hard. To make your way in those industries is very hard if you don't know, and dealing with inside competition is brutal versus outside competition. Through all these years, Lily, how did you manage, which I know were really stressful, tough roles to be in? How did that form who Lily is today?
I think I got to understand what politics means.
Right.
And I think I wasn't aware of that when I started working. I had this very naive way of thinking, you do your job and you get on with people around you and you share conversation and that's it. And it's not it at all. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, I got to understand that the inner insecurities of the people that you used to see in class, if they're not healed, they grow. They make people become monsters at work.
Yes.
And because they're afraid that they're going to be either canceled or invisible, not seen. And so they want power to feel their own value. And I do not feel superior to them because I think that a part of me can be like this. Not that I want to become a monster, but I have my own insecurities.
Oh, we
And,
all do. We
and
all do.
so the thing is, becoming aware of the work that you need to do is going to help you at work. Also, recognize your own patterns. And I was really naive with this. I started working on myself. I started going on therapy when I was 16. It's been like now a long time because I turned 49 and I'm still doing some forms of therapy. And I think that I was really aware that I was broken in some way and that I needed to not to fix myself, but at least to learn how to live with what had been broken.
Right.
And this was very early. I think I understood it very early, but I wasn't trained in university. I went to La Sorbonne to study English. I was not trained at all into understanding that people are not your friends immediately, and that you should be careful with what you say, and that maybe if you're going to show how excited you are about a subject, some people will translate it as a trigger because maybe you want to be the best, or you want to have more attention on yourself, which was not my intention. But I
Right.
think sometimes it did get translated like this. And I got lucky, though. I was very lucky because I never had to fight to get any of the jobs that I had. They came to me in a sort of flow that I feel honored with the jobs that I got to do. But no, I did not have to fight. But I learned, like everyone, that, that you can have people who look really nice and who are not at all because they feel triggered by you, just your presence. And it's got nothing to do with you, actually.
Right. It's all about them.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in finding who we are, and again, there's so many wonderful takeaways through this discussion that I just want to anchor in so people appreciate is taking risks. Lili, in this really quite illustrious career, decided it was not for her and stepped away and is slowly found and probably still, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, but finding that North Star, as we say in North America. And I was talking to a guest recently and realized that I can't find the translation for French, but it's finding that where you should be right now, even if that changes in the future, and that's okay too. So here Lili is sharing wonderful messages, looking at health and wellness. Where does Lili see herself in 5 years? If you do.
I don't know.
Okay, I
I
love
don't
that.
know.
I love that. Yes.
I don't know. And I saw a viral video of Oprah, who I don't worship her, but she brought so much. But there was a viral video of her saying, you need to know where you're going first. You need to know the direction where you're going, or else you just don't know. And for me, it's very different.
Okay.
I open a space to welcome the unknown because I think that there are some stuff that I can decide, that I
Mhm.
do myself,
Mhm.
but there are so many other vibrations that enter my life, opportunities like meeting Olivier Roellinger or meeting some other people or just our conversation. It's going to change me in some way. How? We don't know.
Right.
And so, of course, I have some dreams. I'm writing my first novel right now. I hope that in 5 years, it will at least be published and finished.
Yes.
Because I've been working on it for quite a while, but I had to stop for almost a year. I could not write about it, I could not move on with it. And so I hope in 5 years, this novel is published and maybe I'm writing another one or I'm writing another book because I love writing and this is what I do the most. And this is what I used to do as a former journalist. And this is still what I'm doing. And even when I was just giving yoga classes, because for a while I was really focusing on yoga. And now I give less lessons and I write more for Substack or with my newsletter or for myself with some book projects. Writing is at the core of everything that I do.
Okay.
So, yes, this is something that I dream of, but maybe my dream will lead me to something a bit different. And I trust life. If I'm being honest to my authenticity, I think I'll be fine. But it's not always easy to find because sometimes you wear your own masks and you're not even aware of them. You find that you were wearing a mask 5 years afterwards and you're, oh yeah, I wasn't myself at that time, but I wasn't aware of it. And it's okay.
People say trust the process, and that's very hard for me because I'm not patient. And I like to try to manipulate myself sometimes to just keep working forward and to understand that you'll be where you're meant to be at that point in time, and it's okay to change. And I think that's one thing I'd love for listeners to think about is We reinvent ourselves every day. Our skin cells change. My hair's changing. I'm getting more gray hairs than I ever did. My voice changes. We reinvent every day, but somehow when it comes to us as people, we feel like it's so unattainable. And it's not. It's an evolution. And one thing to think about with Lily's story, if you heard, she honored her past and she's brought it forward into her future. And we'll see where that goes from here on out. So reinvention isn't about leaving everything behind. It's about figuring out what you're going to carry with you going forward and having it serve you like Lily's writing. And I would encourage you to check out her Substack. We'll put a link in the show notes. I've really loved this discussion with you. I think there's so many things that will give people hope and courage. One, that you can change your trajectory. You can change that of someone else's. You can find yourself in a new space and feel at home and still have the courage to say, I don't know where I'll be in 5 years. Maybe I'll be something completely different. And that is such a release, I think, for people to hear.
Also, I think it's in tune with what we're all going through
Yes.
globally
Yes.
because of the rising of artificial intelligence, for instance, or the politics that are really threatening everywhere,
Right.
the lack of stability with economy or with climate change and everything that do not feel so safe anymore. How are we going to navigate if we have a plan that we just want to stick to it no matter
Absolutely.
what? It's just maybe not going to work that way. And I think that the crisis of COVID taught us a lot about sometimes you have a plan and it just doesn't go the way you thought it would.
God, Lily, yes.
So we have a common friend, Ziva Belen,
Yes,
and
yes.
Ziva is an amazing friend. And she wanted to gift me in 2020, and she had booked me a session with, how do you say, a sort of psychic, someone who can read. So this woman is American, and I had never done this before.
Okay.
So this was on Zoom, I think, and so I couldn't see her, but she could see me, but I could not see her, which was weird. Anyway, so beginning of 2020, I am completely lost because it's the first time that I don't have any projects for a year. Usually, I begin the year and I have tons of projects like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go on a trip. And I could not even plan a plane to go to a country or on a holiday, even family holidays. I could not understand why I felt so stuck
Right.
with not being able to plan. And this was in January. And so I did that call and I said to her, it's the first time of my life. I don't have any plans. And she said, it's okay. You're not supposed to be planning anything right now. Do not plan anything. It's okay. You feel stuck. It's your own intuition. You are going to be used for something bigger.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea what she was on about.
Wow.
And I was getting trained for energetic healing with a weird method, and I needed to call guides. And I did not really believe in what I was doing.
Okay.
It was very hippie like, and I did not like the books of images that I was given because I'm still very judgmental. And I mean, I was at French Vogue, so I was looking at the images and I thought they were all ugly.
Okay, I love it. Honesty is everything. Okay.
So I needed to call 12 different guides to help me like channel a sort of healing energy. And I was doing the exercise every morning. And I had to admit that I was not feeling anything in my body.
Okay.
So I was waiting for, I don't know, Jesus, Mary, and everyone to arrive in my room, but there was no one. And I was
Yes.
like, okay, no miracle, no magic. And I was especially focusing on one of the energy that was really purple. So in my head, it was like calling that purple energy and so this psychic said, oh, the guides, you're calling a lot of guides every day. And I was like, ooh, yeah. And she said, they're laughing because you're wearing a sort of crown with a lot of purple and you don't see it, but it's on your head. So that was really weird. She said, you will be used in 2020. Do not plan anything. It will happen. And so I forgot that conversation. And when COVID happened, all yoga classes and studios closed in Paris. And so we had to find another way to meet each other. Zoom, I had never used Zoom before COVID. Never.
Same.
I did not want to start Zoom, but I had a big account on Instagram. And I thought maybe I had never pushed that direct live option,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought maybe I could do this to have my students meditate with me. And it was just an idea like this. It just came through me and I listened to it and I said, okay, let's do it. And I was so scared that I was going to be judged by the people I used to work with, like people from Vogue or from Le Monde, the perfumers, the beauty industry. I thought, oh my God, all the people from the marketing at Estée Lauder and L'Oréal, they're going to think she's crazy. She's meditating in front of everyone. And also, I was using mantras. So it was not just meditation, it was chanting mantras in front of a video camera
Right.
and in front of people. But I thought, okay, let's forget about the risk that I'm taking. I need to do it. I don't know why, but I need to do it. I started doing it and I did it every day at 6 p.m. And after a few days, we started being 15,000 together. 15,000.
15,000.
It
Wow.
was crazy.
Wow.
And yes, in some ways, I was used. And just because I listened to my intuition, which was if I had looked for meaning or logic, I would not have done it. Sometimes you don't know, there is no plan,
No.
and there's a bigger plan or a bigger map for yourself. And so if we miss these opportunities and if we just want to control everything, we miss that. So it's okay not to know what you're going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, maybe just this summer, like, next summer in 2026. But the pressure of control is so harsh. It's so big, especially on Instagram, because if I open my Instagram or TikTok or whatever, I will get people telling me, like, you should control this, you should control that. And it's okay not to know everything, because at some point it leaves you space for the unknown and for the great miracles of meeting someone, having a new idea.
Lili, I love that. And I think what a beautiful place to finish, to leave yourself ready to receive miracles in whatever form they come. They can be people, by the way, opportunities, ideas. Wow. Thank you so much. That's so inspiring. Again, I'm so thrilled to have you. I'll include all your information on the show notes. I do encourage all of you out there to look at Lili and how she shares. She doesn't show, she shares, and there's always something beautiful to take away. And it could be the message you need to hear today to inspire you. So, on that note, thank you so much, Lili, for joining Generate Her. I'm super happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Generate Her. If something sparked your curiosity or took root in your imagination or helped you to see possibilities just a tad bit clearly, I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget you can always connect with me via my website, janebertch.com, or on Instagram. My handle is my name, @JaneBertch. And if you'd like to go deeper, don't forget to check out my newsletter, Prompts from Paris, my retreats here in the city, journal prompts, and more that you can find on my website. Until the next time, may you keep tending your jardin, listening to your inner courage, and shining brightly right where you are. À très bientôt, mes amis.